See, folks are trickling in. That's good. We're going to get started in a few minutes. Closing out a couple of windows here so my computer can be optimal because we're going to have a good presentation tonight.
Hey, Bill.
Yep.
Not sure if it matters, but I'm showing up twice for some reason. Not sure why.
I don't think it hurts anything.
Okay.
Twice as nice.
It sounds like a cipher we're about to start now.
So,
Do you want us to boot the other one?
You're kind of a big deal.
Nice.
We can remove the other one, Damon. If that's not you, we can boot it.
Yeah, mine is the image, and I'm having camera difficulties at the moment. But the one that just has my name, that's not me right now.
All right, done deal.
Thank you, sir.
Check your camera now. See if that's helpful.
No, it's on my end, Lou.
Oh, okay.
If it's pertinent that I show my moving face, I can log on with my phone.
We want to show we are, but we won't hold you to that. You just have to shine from the inside.
Well, I would definitely work to do that.
Give people just a few more minutes. Won't be long now.
Well, we can go ahead and jump in and get started.
I'm running into a technical difficulty here.
Are you frozen, Lou? You look.
Just 1 second. Too many things open. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 14326 East Jefferson Community, Charette. I'm not Mr. York, or Mr. Rourke, but I am your host. Tonight we're going to be doing some fun activities, and I just want to set some quick ground rules. We will be using a tool tonight called MURAL. If you're at a computer, it's perfect. We're going to shoot you a link in the chat. You'll be able to go right in. If you're not at a computer, but you're using an iPhone, now would be a good time to download the MURAL app to your phone. So that way you can participate. Best case scenario, use a computer. If you don't have the computer, but you do have an iPhone, quickly download the app while we're going through this first part and make sure, I'll make sure that we have what we're doing going on, and you'll still be able to participate. As always, we will have a Q&A that'll be going on the entire time. And we are doing the webinar via Facebook Live as well. So people can access this whole conversation via Facebook Live. So we're gonna start with Derek Scott talking about EJDevCo. We'll do some project updates, team introductions, the MURAL exercise, Q&A, and some quick announcements. And we'll start with Derek.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for joining us on a Thursday evening and hanging out with the EJDevCo team. Thanks, Lou. So
Got it.
We're excited to have you here tonight. We're excited to talk about our project, this up and coming project, and the food concept, which we'll get into in a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about who we are for those of you that are just joining us for the first time. We are East Jefferson Development Corp. If you want to go to the next slide, Lou. Oh, wait, you've given me control.
You should have it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, there we go. So East Jefferson Development Corp, we have a shared vision with and share the mission of Jefferson East Inc., which a lot of people are familiar with as the nonprofit that's very active in the East Jefferson corridor. And we are here to create inclusive neighborhoods where Detroiters have direct involvement in guiding the real estate development projects along our corridors. So EJDevCo, we are a for-profit, wholly owned subsidiary of Jefferson East, and we are the entity that engage in direct real estate activities that goes back to support all of the neighborhood work that Jefferson East does. And so as Paulette Foster, one of our founding members, says, when JEI was founded, the goal was to get buildings up and down Jefferson, renovate them, fill them with tenants that fulfill the community's vision and make our neighborhood stronger. And so that's our vision and our goal here. So we are focused on what we call radical and inclusionary development. And that is development that really focuses on the community. And we believe that we are the voice and force behind that inclusive development and growth as it happens in East Jefferson Corridor, and giving you, residents, community members, stakeholders, the opportunity to exercise your voice in the development you want to see here. And so as development happens, our goal is to make sure it benefits all residents and business owners that are currently existing. And what you never have to worry about is, as we do a development, our profits going back into an investor's pockets or outside investors, but those profits go right back into the corridor to reinvest in JEI's mission, providing all the housing services and neighborhood support to community members that it has done over the last 20 plus years, and ultimately reinvesting into more projects so that we can continue to drive the community's vision here. So we are a team of individuals that are reflective of the community. Many of our team members are from the community, live in the community, and are active in the neighborhood. And tonight I want to introduce our development team. So you've met Lutalo, who always does a great job as our economic development engagement manager with getting us going and kicking us off in our community meetings. You know Marcus King, who is our real estate development manager and design manager. He's also a licensed architect, and he's going to be taking the reins right after this to talk a little more about this project and introduce our design team. Brandon Hodges, who recently joined us earlier this year as our new director of real estate, and also a Jefferson-Chalmers resident. And then Lex Mills, who we hope you guys will get a chance to learn more about Lex Mills, who will be designing, or who's currently working on a financial instrument that will allow community members to participate in direct equity in these real estate projects, including the one that you'll see tonight. So there'll be opportunities for community members to actually have ownership in the projects that happen along the corridor and the projects that we're engaged in. So that's one example of a way that development will be able to benefit residents directly, is because you'll be able to play a direct role. Move quickly. EJDevCo, we believe in doing real estate development without displacement. So we do development without displacement. That's real estate development, sustainable development, inclusive development, economic development. The goal is to do that without any form of displacement, whether that's social, economic, physical, intellectual, or psychological. And all those things are important in what we stand for. And that means doing development without displacement, doing the right thing for everyone, acting on purpose, and taking a stand for what we believe in, investing in long-term solutions as opposed to short-term gains, and then pursuing purpose over profit. So while we are a for-profit entity, it's more missional so that we're aligned with the vision of the community, and we'll always pursue that purpose over a profit. Which means that we stand against any type of policies that defy, ignore, or mute the voice of community members or inclusive development. We stand against any development that lacks direction, and ultimately we stand against displacement, and ultimately want to make sure that we prevent displacement of residents as well as existing business owners. And again, whether that's displacement is physical or psychological, emotional, to the extent that we can't recognize the neighborhoods that we've been a part of for so long. So that's who we are. That's what we're looking to do tonight. Lou, I'm not going to go through all of these, so you can fast forward to the project slides and turn it back over to Marcus. Oh, stop right there. Sorry, I will go through that one. They were moving slow for me, Lou, so I apologize. I don't know if it's how they're loading. But I want to highlight our inclusive neighborhood development principles, which are all the requirements in each of our developments. So I want you to keep this in mind tonight, even throughout this development, is that we do have an inclusive neighborhood development principles that guide all of our developments. So there's requirements for local hiring in all of our developments that's built into the leases. So for tenants that will go into this space tonight, one of the requirements will be local hiring. We do local contracting requirements that requires us to do contracts with primarily Detroit-based contractors, accessible price points. So that's important when we talk about what do you think is the right price point for a restaurant. For instance, we're going to talk about restaurants tonight, or food uses, I should say. What are accessible price points, right? What do those look like? And we negotiate with tenants to make sure that their lease rates are tied to those price points so that community members are able to access those new businesses. And then other things like supporting existing landowners, affordable housing, prioritizing that, and then encouraging long-term business growth in the corridor. So those are all of our inclusive development principles, many of which will be very prominent in this project as we move forward. So with that, I am going to get out of the way. Again, thank you for coming. Thank you for being with us and hanging out. And I hope to learn and get as much feedback from you tonight as possible on this project. And I'm going to turn it over to Marcus King, who will take it from here, give you a project update and introduce the team. Marcus, are you able to come off mute?
Hey, Marcus.
Looks like Marcus's privileges need to be reinstated.
Seems like okay. Let me...
Right, while we're waiting for Marcus.
He's having problems with this. Yeah, I don't know.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Marcus.
We can.
Okay, yeah. My panel, I don't know what happened when you gave me the screen, Lou, but the panel, all of my controls in my panel on the bottom have left, so I can't control my camera or my microphone. But I will try to go through the presentation. Yeah, it's not letting me do anything. How about this? Can you take me off control? Then
I can drive.
Yeah, you just have to drive. Yeah, that's better. That's much better. All right, just let me let my camera go through and I'll get started. So apologize for the technical difficulties. Once again, happy to be with you guys again. So this project, this time that we're together here is going to be strictly focused on the 14326 East Jefferson property and project. And Lou is still not letting me do my camera visual. So just to orient ourselves around the building, and I'll start off with a little bit of context to help us anchor ourselves in what we're going to do today. So again, the 14326 property, it's not just the building, but it's also the adjacent empty lot to the east, 14322. These projects are going to be developed in tandem as a collective unit, right? So we're tentatively calling this 14326 East Jefferson, and I imagine at some point in the future we'll also do an exercise where we will give this project an official name with community input and community direction. But this is the project that we're going to be focusing on. And again, you can go forward, Lou. And I'll just give a couple of stats while the slides moving forward. So again, the project consists of the building 14326 and then the adjacent lot to the east. The building itself is roughly a pretty small shotgun building, roughly 3,000 square feet in size, pretty simple building. And then the lot next to it is roughly a 6,000 square foot parcel. As you see the schedule that's presented before you now, we're currently in the design phase. And within the next couple of weeks or so, we'll be finalizing the schematic design. And this exercise that we're about to go through right now is a big part of us finalizing the schematic and the conceptual parts of this project. But we'll also be moving into some preliminary permitting as well to help us expedite some of the construction processes, mainly cleaning up the building, doing some initial demolition work to help us establish what the true existing conditions are. So all that stuff is happening right now. That's sort of where we are in the process now. And I'll introduce our design team a little bit later after we go through these initial contextual projects. So you've heard us talk about over the last 2 community meetings, I think, this idea of a ghost kitchen or a ghost kitchen concept. So what a ghost kitchen is? What is a ghost kitchen? It's essentially a shared food prep and cooking facility that is open to a variety of different either restaurateurs or people looking for commercial kitchen space for certain events, et cetera, right? So where we're seeing this in the market now is food startups, perhaps restaurants that are not ready to own a brick and mortar themselves, but are sort of getting their name out there and need larger kitchen space to cook their food and to cater, et cetera, right? And so we've introduced this idea of a ghost kitchen. That's where we are preliminarily. But that's not necessarily where we may end up. And I think this process that we're going to go through today is going to help inform, the extent to which this does become a ghost kitchen. And there may be some aspects of the project that are walk-up or more typical of a restaurant space as well. Again, that's part of what this exercise and this charrette experience is all about. The next slide, Luke. And then an example of what a ghost kitchen looks like. So again, it's really similar to any commercial kitchen that you've seen before. The only difference here is that there's shared capabilities, right? So no one entity owns or operates in perpetuity the kitchen space. You sort of rent it on an as-needed basis, and it's open to all that need the space. It usually comes equipped with standard kitchen appliances, commercial kitchen appliances, commercial grade appliances and equipment, baking equipment, et cetera, et cetera. And again, we'll talk about some of the exact pieces of equipment that we may or may not want to introduce to this particular space. Next slide, Lou. There we go. So now we've introduced them to you guys before, but today we have one of the leaders of our design team with us today. So I'll start off with a brief introduction. So this project is led by Dokes Design Architecture. You're looking at the Kimberly Dokes is the principal. And we have with us today Damon Dickerson, who is the director of architecture for DDA, as it's also called. He's also a Detroit resident, and some other of our design team members are also Detroit residents as well. But Kimberly Dokes, along with Damon Dickerson, are the design team leads for this project. They are the ones that will be developing the documentation and taking the concepts that we're going to lay down today through this process and materialize them and manifest them into very potent designs that are rooted in practicality, but also integrate some of the concepts and some of the ideas that we're going to run through and explore here today. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Damon to talk a little bit more about DDA and also introduce the rest of his engineering and design team.
Good evening, everyone. Can you back up one slide, please, Lou? Unless I have control over this now. Okay. Do I have control now? Okay, guess not. But good evening, everyone. My name is Damon Dickerson, Director of Design with Dokes Design. Also on the call is Kimberly Dokes, who's the principal of DDA. It's our pleasure to be a part of what is shaping up to be one heck of a cool project and an awesome concept. It's got a lot of really interesting moving parts, which we appreciate from a design challenge standpoint. So we've brought on board a great team to make this project fantastic. As you heard Marcus go through just the idea behind a ghost kitchen, being a kitchen, heavy in a kitchen equipment. One of our consultants, Dan Millis, was part of Millis Food Group as our food consultant. You have a vacant lot to the east, which is awesome. That needs to be programmed and become an intricate part of this project. So we brought on board friend, colleague, EJD Davis, who's a landscape architect. And all of that stuff has to run effectively, right? All of the systems must run effectively in order to heat, cool, and ventilate the building. And we have Gopu Palani, part of the PES group, who's our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineer. And last but certainly not least, Joe Levere, who's part of Levere Structural, to make sure that everything stands up. So we have an excellent team, and we look forward to diving in. And it looks like Lou has started me off with, that is my first page, Lou?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, great. Like I said, I can't control it, so I don't know. So first we'll start off just talking about the site just a bit more. So the idea, well, let me back up. So I've received input, of course, from Jefferson East, and outside of that, in research that's done just to understand just a bit better about the concept of ghost kitchen, and then put together just essentially a working program and criteria list. And that list is intended to just hold us accountable to the things that is necessary in a ghost kitchen. And that list will grow after tonight's meeting. And we're able to really take in all of the input that we received from you all. So part of that program, so I broke the program up into mainly exterior and interior, because we're dealing with the adjacent lot that is currently vacant or vacated. And in that, what we came out of a couple of meetings is just to have a better understanding around space and accommodation for food trucks, to make this more of a lively area, and continue to add to sort of the this idea of food in different ways. Community compost was also a part of it, just adding sort of the ecological aspect along with green technology. Green technology meaning that could very well be low tech on the exterior in terms of permeable surfaces, ideas of water runoff. Most of you that have lived in the area truly get that. And then looking at passive ideas as well in order to collect wind and to cool and more effectively through the landscaping, and potentially change the elevation of the landscaping in such a way that makes it a little more interesting and potentially undulating. Everyone knows that in Detroit, we're pretty flat in terms of topography, in terms of the ground. We also want to make sure that anything that we add on the exterior specifically, because we're talking about that, we ease maintenance requirements. So we don't want to add anything that will become burdensome down the road in order for those that are in charge of the property and stakeholders that makes it hard to maintain. We're programming in seating, viewing areas, flexible space as well. So every piece of, every part of the exterior isn't something that's meant to necessarily attach a program to. I think that improv is definitely necessary. So community stakeholders are able to come in and sort of make up their own game or activity or meeting. And semi-permanent structures as well. So in this unfortunate era of COVID, in many ways, in the way that many of us are reacting to it, exterior structures are part of this new era. But frankly speaking, we've always had semi-permanent structures to help beautify particular areas on the exterior. So we see a pretty easy transition there. And then common restrooms, because we're still understanding what code means for a ghost kitchen, but let alone a ghost kitchen that now integrates an assembly use. So that is something that we must study to better understand how we bring the public into a space that would typically serve, that would be typically suited for more of a private use. So what I mean by that is, if you take a look to the top right, you'll notice what I'm calling restrooms as maybe a temporary structure. Think pop-up container or something like that, that's fitted out essentially for exterior toilet rooms, restrooms, to essentially ease on the amount of people in that particular space that would need to use that restroom. In the middle of the space, I'm calling that flex space, so I'm changing the gradient there to help identify that. And then there's 6 elements that are in the middle that I'm identifying as more of like a trellis space, or four-season dining that could be potentially covered. And then directly in front of that, leading into the building, again, a gradient change that indicates essentially materials have changed on the ground. So those little circles in there indicate, 2 top tables essentially that could be potentially exterior dining, as well as that could have really nice colorful pop-up umbrellas or something like that. And if you move to the far left near the sidewalk in Jefferson, you'll see that you have a path that leads into the space, into a food truck docking area, which we see happening potentially from the alley. So it gives food trucks an opportunity to sort of dock along that east side, which is a building there. And I think there's an existing retaining wall or a new wall in that area, which would be perfect to dock food trucks and allow people to circulate and to assemble around that area. And one big thing I should point out from the sidewalk area, this idea, so it's a really long, narrow building. And we see this as being two entry facades. So typically on buildings, you may have one main facade. You notice it all the time, really nice materials. You can tell it's an entry, signage, the whole shot. And then when you get around to another side of the building, you'll notice like the change from really nice stone to a typical brick, because it's a side that most people wouldn't look at. But in this particular project, we really like to treat both of these, the north side and the east side, as 2 entry facades essentially, because from the street, if you're driving down Jefferson, we see the east side of that really opening up to folks from a visible standpoint from the street and also from the sidewalk. So we want it to be inviting, to bring you into the space without necessarily having to go into the building, but just to really be a part of this project, with whether you're physically on it or whether that you're sort of visually accessing it from a different space. And some of the boring stuff I would call is the loading. So you will notice that we have a loading dock that's to the or loading area to the south side of the building. There's a T intersection where alleys come together, so that'd be a perfect place for loading and trash pickup. Go to the next slide, please. So let's make our way inside of the building. So again, first I'll start from what I'll call the north entrance, because again, we're thinking of this as two separate facades, two separate entry facades. So from the north side, you enter into what you will see is a typical storefront. And we wanted to treat, so some of the program criteria here was to create sort of a really open entry space, make it feel almost restaurant-like, but also provide enough of a functional area for carry out, for pickup, or for some loose dining, I would say. So what we did essentially in this particular iteration is that we're showing countertop availability, back counter availability, a potential refrigerator for grab and go, an opportunity for kitchen vendors to bring food up, store it up front, and it will create an ample space for them to store it up front for folks to come in and pick it up, or for DoorDash folks to come in and pick it up, et cetera. There's a couple of drink rails up front that sort of hug the storefront, again creating activity on the inside. And then on the east side of the entry, you see a few two-top tables. Again, just indicating that, hey, if a few people want to dine in on the inside, that is certainly a possibility. Again, being a long building, I'm seeing a long corridor to allow folks ease of walking through the entire building, kitchen vendors to get to their stations accordingly. So I really see this as really opening it up to the patio in a sense, or to that adjacent lot that is now programmed full of tons of activity. So you can imagine in late spring, to early fall, that, to create some really fresh air breezes coming in from the east, to allow some of that fresh air to also ventilate the things that are happening in the kitchen could be quite nice, allowing some of those smells out into the patio area and into the rest of of Jefferson in that area. And so there's essentially 6 bays of roll-up doors that I can imagine as either roll-up or awning doors that could create awnings on the outside as well. We still need to talk through that a bit. And then in between each of those doors, just showing an opportunity for some window openings that could be functional or not, but again, just trying to provide as much visible access out into the patio. Shelving opportunities along that wall, and directly across from those doors, we're showing currently about 4 250 square foot kitchen areas, which would be your tenants, essentially your vendors, your ghost kitchen participants in those areas. And currently right now we're showing those as boxes because there's going to be a mix of food offerings, which means we have to get this to Dan and really talk through equipment that's necessary for it. But so for now, these are placeholders essentially, so you have an idea of what we're thinking. A couple of toilet rooms are in there, or restrooms are on the inside, ADA accessible. I'm showing a few what I'm going to call boxes right now for coat storage in IT as well, that I know will be necessary for the project. And if we head further south, I'm showing that area, that docking area, as another roll-up door for large deliveries, a single door to the rear, and then a mechanical. Again, I'm calling mechanical storage, et cetera, because once we get our our consultants involved, those spaces will fill up quickly with electrical, with heating and cooling devices, potentially walk-in freezers, some dry storage maybe, in IT. If we can go to the next slide, please. Well, actually, just stay there for 2 seconds, Lou. And let me make this extremely clear. This is, if you notice at the top right corner, this says layout A. So this is a working document. We are in the conceptual phase. There's nothing at all final about this layout. I should really point that out. So in architecture, we take an iterative approach. There's several iterations until we get to the final thing. And frankly, even when we get to the final thing, I'm still looking around like, something should have changed. But that, that's just the nature of the beast. So there will be, so your input will be extremely valuable at this point, because this is the perfect time for you to get out what you're feeling, what you want, your wants, your needs are, the things that you like, and frankly, the things you don't like. We all have thick skin here, so whatever you want to bring to the table, we'll take that in and really try to incorporate that into the plan. Okay, Lou, go ahead, please. So as we're waiting for the computer to move here for us, the next and the final page, just we put together some precedent images. I have several of them, and these just happen to make the cut for this particular meeting. But the idea behind the images essentially is just a collection of sorts to help us really start identifying what this will look like and what this will feel like. So there's 2 things. There's power words, which I would like to call, flex functional, storage creative, multifunctional, soulful. And these are words to help describe what we're going for in your project. So use these as sort of a jumping off point, if you will, to add to some of these, or to even say, well, what the heck does that mean? So what does urban contemporary mean, right? To help us even unpack what it means to ensure that we are talking about this project in an effective way. And I'll just quickly talk through just some of the images, the idea behind the images. Again, none of these images are concrete. I just want to make that clear. Again, these are ideas, these are images just to generate ideas of what we're going for. So for instance, if I start in the left column, you're all familiar with the Esplanade downtown for the most part, which is that idea of really offering multiple entrances into a particular area with, semi low-tech mechanisms and attractions to keep folks interested. Right below that is the idea behind a semi-permanent structure where you can particularly do, community tables or program in such a way, for weddings maybe, for really nice receptions. And below that is a structure, again, that's geared toward watching movies, outdoor movies. I don't know if you know the drive-in that's happening right now on MURAL downtown. So some of that, outdoor viewing, that stuff is really coming back, which could be kind of cool on a neighborhood scale. You saw the image of the ghost kitchen. You see the playground I'm showing with the undulating hills and the little grassy knolls. I'm not necessarily articulating that this should be a playground, but what I am articulating is that we can do some really fun stuff with the landscaping outside of just shrubbery. Directly below that is articulating the structures that you've seen around town now. So I call them the plastic igloos. Some of them attractive, some of them not so attractive. So this is something that we would study to really figure out what would really be appropriate for the site, on a functional level, but what would look good. If you look to the top, I'm showing an example of awning doors. What that means is, as opposed to a typical roll-up or garage door, in ways that you can provide, kind of more of an aesthetic appeal on the exterior, but at the same time, you could potentially shade from sunlight and even light rain to a certain degree. And then I'm showing bocce ball, and I'm showing a couple bowls of spices. And what's important to me here is really sort of color and feel, not so much spices, right? So I'm getting at maybe a color palette, something sort of a deep earthy or veggie color palette. Again, nothing set in stone, but just something to get us started in figuring out what the space really wants to be, and hopefully a space that something that you all want it to be as well. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Jefferson East unless there's particular questions out there for me. And hopefully I didn't talk too long.
Yeah, that was great, Damon. I think you covered the floor plans and the concepts pretty concretely, and I think you ended on something that I think I want to reiterate here is that, you know, this is our first pass, right? This is us going through a process. This is us presenting ideas that we're presenting to the collective community so that we can have a discussion about the direction that we want to go, right? So, you know, even though we're presenting a floor plan with some ideas, and there are some things that are, you know, somewhat set in stone, and we'll talk about that once we transmit over to the mural board. But for the most part, all these things are fluid. These are ideas to get you guys thinking about what the potential for this building and for this site is. So I think, and I'll defer to Lou on this. I think this is a perfect time to transition over to the mural board if there's no other business to take care of in this presentation. Is that correct?
It is. So thank you, Marcus. I am dropping the link for the mural into the chat. Those of you who are at computers, you should be able to just click on the link. Mural will ask you to put your name in. Please put your name in. And then
we'll give some
you will be in the board. Now this board is completely interactive. You'll see everybody on here at the same time.
Yeah, see people populating now, so it's working. Awesome.
Lou, if I'm unable to get into mural, what shall I do if I'm unable to get into mural? Am I still able to participate this evening?
You are absolutely able to participate this evening. If you cannot get into the mural, we still have our Q&A. I will have the mural up here on my screen so you can see it. If you've got questions or if you've got comments, please put them in the Q&A. So that way we can put all the information together. The first section here, and I'll just kind of go through, there's a section that just really goes into instructions, but I can just talk folks through it. On the left panel, the first two sets of tools are sticky notes. And for those of you who are, and those of you who are not familiar with charrettes, the best thing to do is to grab a sticky note so you can just hold down your mouse and drag it over. If you're using an iPhone, it should be a button right there on the screen that you can just use. Just drag it over and drop it, and you can start typing. And those notes will go right on the board. I'm just going to drop one here so you guys can see it. And for this one, I'm just going to put test so that you can see. Once you're done, just hit enter and it's done. And it's on the board. Definitely interact with the whole board. If you got some ideas for the concept site plan, you can put that here on the concept site plan. The concept floor plan is right beneath it. In the right panel, there is an outline. If you click on any of the outlines, it will take you directly to that section of the board. I'm going to pan out a little bit so that people who do not have direct access can still see everything, ask questions. Please ask questions. I will gladly move around and go where you need me to go so you can see it if you're not able to use the mural tool.
And I'll add a, are we officially starting yet, or are we still waiting for people to get familiar with the tools?
You can get started. I see some people have already gotten started, which is excellent.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, that's why I wanted. So I'll just jump in and sort of orient, give an introduction, a brief introduction to the rest of the panel while you're managing the digital presentation. So again, to help orient you guys with a little bit more detail, you'll see these instructions over here on the left. I strongly recommend you guys read those. They'll help you navigate what's being presented before you. It'll also cue you on what types of information we're looking to be provided from you guys. Specifically, this right panel here, where there's 4 classifications of questions. These questions are centered around four items that we think are pertinent to this particular project. So what are they, right? So we're asking what types of building design and sustainability tools would you like to see? Those consequently relate to some additional precedent images that are provided at below, right? So those are not meant to be concrete. Those are meant to, again, inspire. Those are meant to jog your mind and be inspirational. There may be other images that we're not thinking about that you may want to include into the conversation. I strongly encourage you to write that here. Maybe if you got an image, and you sort of are familiar with this software, put that in here as well. Just sort of make those comments, type those comments, put a sticky note. We want to hear about those. These other 2 are self-explanatory. What types of food would you like to see here? I think this is really important. That's one of the constants here, or the givens, is that we know this is going to be a food service use of some sort. And so we really want to know what types of cuisines that the community wants to see here. And then at the bottom left of this quadrant, we have public space amenities and public space uses in an outdoor context. Again, there's precedent images at the bottom to provide inspiration for what the potential exterior and public space uses can be. So we have different types of seating, some small parks, a little bit of furniture, in the artwork. In the artwork category, we have lighting, we have sculpture, art, murals. And again, this is not meant to be exhaustive. This is meant to inspire. And then the final one that I'll make mention here is COVID-19, for obvious reasons, right? We're still in the midst of a pandemic, and even once we get a handle on and begin to come out of the pandemic, there's still going to be other provisions in place that will govern the health and safety of everyone. And so we really are interested in your concerns about COVID-19 and how they apply to this particular project. So, if you're concerned about cleaning procedures or the different types of technologies that you'd like to see in terms of air purification, or if you know of exact technologies and processes that you'd like to see enacted here, please take a sticky note, use the text box, and record that in this quadrant right here. But for the most part, I would encourage you guys to have fun and be as fluid as possible. Again, this is meant to be interactive. This is meant for you guys to record and give input, sketch, input boxes. Even though we have these set areas for documents, maybe there's some places over here in the actual site plans and floor plans that you want to put or identify as prime positions for seating or whatever. The possibilities here are endless. Okay, so again, use the precedent images for inspiration. Use the top right question panel to record verbal answers. Maybe throw some pictures if you got them on your own computer that you think may be pertinent here. And then specifically, you have specific locations that you're interested in certain things being in. Please record them, sticky note them on the actual floor plans and on the actual site plans. So with that, we'll continue to answer questions in the Q&A, but please have at it and start to sticky note like crazy.
So Marcus, I think what makes sense, I'm looking at how many people are in the mural board and how many people we have in the actual Zoom. And I realize there's some people that are not able to get into the Zoom, or maybe not as sort of tech savvy to be able to go through stickies, or maybe you're on a mobile device. So we'll take a moment. I've already started taking some of your comments and placing them onto the mural. So let's take a moment and we can go through some of these questions. And for those of you that are on the Zoom and on Facebook Live as well, because I see some comments on Facebook, we can add your comments. We can make sure we go back and add your comments from the Zoom to the mural board. So what I'd like to do is I'll go question by question, maybe spend a couple of minutes on each question to give you some time to type some things in each question. So the first question I'm going to ask, and I'm not going in order, is what types of food would you like to see here? So is, of all the different types of genres of food, I already saw a comment for vegetarian options. So what are some other food options that you would like to see? So for those of you that are in the mural board, you can take sticky notes, put it in that section. If it's tacos, Mexican food, pizza, American fare, burgers, hot dogs, steak, whatever the food types are you would like to see, go ahead and put them on here. And it's not a bad thing if you have the same answer as someone. So if you already see your answer up here, go ahead and feel free to put it up here again. And because what that'll do is that'll show us that there's multiple people that are interested in that particular food type. So go ahead and take a moment. Those of you that are on the Zoom, you can feel free to put it in the chat if you're not able to go on the mural board. Again, we'll monitor the Q&A section and add any types of comments, or the chat section and add any of those in it as well. And I saw a question about will this be added to will the meeting recording be posted? And the short answer is yes, the meeting recording will be posted, and we'll also share the link again. We'll have a discussion about leaving the mural board open a little longer until we get quite a bit of feedback. So for those of you that can't go through the mural board tonight, I know it's a little frustrating. We're all trying to navigate a new technology in the virtual world. And Mural helps us do a lot of this, but this will give you an opportunity. We'll leave it open and you can go into the link. It'll stay open and live and you'll be able to go in and do things. So even if you want to look at it over the weekend, I think our goal might be to leave it open till Monday. Charcoal barbecue, because there's a distinction between charcoal and gas. That is a real thing. So charcoal barbecue. So Lou, can I count on you to add these as we go, or do you want me to add? All right, Lou's got us. Lou's got us covered. He's adding as we go.
Okay, yeah, I'm adding as well.
All right, plant-based meals.
I got you.
All right, I see plant-based meals is another option. That's a really great comment. Trying to see the name of the person that put that. Looks like Nicola. That's a great comment. Kitchen space available to teach cooking healthy classes, and a giant mixing bowl would be useful. I can't get to sticky note posts. Yes, we got you covered, Nicola. We'll add a note about that. Let's capture that on here. So those are food types. I see a lot of comments coming on. So this is great. Thank you. Thank you. And when we look at the next question, I'm sorry, was somebody say something? All right, you don't have to stop.
Yeah, that was me. Really,
go ahead, Lou.
Oh boy. Yeah, feel free to put in the information that you feel comfortable sharing. I would encourage you to answer as many of the questions as possible. So food types, definitely important, but we also want to know what will make you feel safe in this space during COVID. So if there's some kind of measure we can put in place, definitely share that with us. And what you'd like to see in the public space. We have different table designs, but maybe you want something different. Show something where people are looking at movies. Maybe that's an option. Maybe you're looking for the sky's the limit. Just put it all on here so we can process it.
Lou, you're breaking up a bit. I can still make you out a little bit. But I got you breaking up a little bit. So it sounds like we're moving to the public space and amenities. So that question is, what types of public space amenities and uses would you like to see on the outdoor site? So Damon, our project architect here, showed you some different precedents and concepts, things that we could consider outside, right? But those were just things to get your palate wet. So what are some of the other things you would like to see in the public space, amenities, artwork, mural type things? There's the sky is sort of the limit for the design precedents and things that you want to see. So if you're in the Zoom and you want to type your ideas in the Zoom, go ahead and put your ideas on the Zoom chat, and we'll make sure they make their way onto the mural board. Luke, can you zoom back out so I can see those questions again? So again, what type of public space amenities would you like to see in the outdoor space? Seen some great comments already. Community entertainment, maybe local concert or local artist, weekly community dinner. It's a great idea. Outdoor community tables with pergola, play area for children with natural playscapes, umbrellas or some type of covering from the elements, interesting lighting, a wood fire pizza oven. That sounds pretty nice. Pop-up ice skating, interesting or unique outdoor furniture. These are great ideas. So keep those coming. Tabletop games, I've got that in the chat from Ms. Harris. Let's make sure that gets in there on the board. Tabletop games.
That's a good one.
And so tonight we're throwing everything out. So don't worry about the realm of possibilities or not. We're going to go back and, we're going to sort through all the information, and we're going to come back as we typically do and say, this is what we heard. And, we'll try to frame it within the context of bringing all of these ideas back to see what we hone in on, both from what can be doable from the design perspective and what our design team tells us is feasible and can work in the space, and also based on the things and the decisions that we're going to ultimately leave in your hands, some of the final decisions on what sticks based on what's doable. So these are all great ideas coming. So now another question is, what type of building design and sustainability tools would you like to see? So some of the community meetings, you guys have thrown out some great ideas. We said we want to make sure you have the opportunity to provide those in the actual project. So this is an opportunity to say, in this project, I'd like to see lots of natural light. So that's a great one. Acoustic and sound mitigation elements, which is great. How do we make sure that sound's not banging over into the neighborhood if we are having outdoor music and things like that? Passive ventilation, great. Durable finishes that will be last longing, especially outdoors. We like that too. Vibrant and distinctive. So what other type of design things would you like to see? How would you like the design to appear? What are some of the sustainability tools that you would like to see? So sustainability being things like, there's some precedents down here for solar, for outdoor gardens, stormwater management. Damon already mentioned composting as one of those things as well. So these are all sustainability features that could be present. So we'll take a few more minutes on that one. Community announcement board. Thank you, Ms. Harris. That's a great one.
See, somebody put in a comment for a market pantry for packaged pre-prepared food. Put that in directly in the floor plan. A great option there. Good comment.
Yeah, that's a great one. Will JEI be openly pursuing Black businesses such as salons, tech services, electronics, retail, clothing stores, or cleaners? What efforts have been made in this direction? Dancing venues for Detroiters, specifically recreation views. Sean, thanks for that. Thanks for that note. Specifically tonight, we're talking food entrepreneurs, and yes, there's always a from our inclusive development principles, we try to prioritize Detroit-based and minority-owned businesses in our pipeline. So we do work with a lot of those businesses, especially through our partnership with TechTown, providing technical assistance. So let's take a lot of those ideas, Lou, and we can provide a note. Actually, let's drop a response in the Q&A if we can to that. But specifically tonight on the restaurant or the food venue side of things, are there particular types of Black businesses that you would like to see, like a Black-owned, I don't know, I'm just taking some guesses, Black-owned taco stand, or what's some authentically Black foods, Jamaican food, Jamaican cuisine, or other ethnic foods? Those are the type of specific things that we want you to give us some feedback on those types of users and food users that you would like to see here. So I see some individuals starting to go over to the COVID-19 procedures and controls. What type of COVID-19 procedures would make this space feel safe? So many of you are going to restaurants or not going to restaurants now, don't feel comfortable. What are some things that if they were in place would make you feel more comfortable? So I see a comment here. I don't know if we've added already a suggestion for COVID having numerous sanitation stations with masks, gloves, and hand sanitizers available. Great. So I see a comment here, ample amount of sanitizers and relevant PPE, movable features to be able to socially distance outside. So that's great. Outdoor dome dining. So Ms. Harris has a comment for outdoor dome dining. So if we put the dome there. Omani has a comment here for Black-owned vegan or African foods. So let's make sure we get that comment in here. You guys are doing amazing. These are some great comments and feedback that's going in here. And then Lou, if you want to zoom out from the questions for a minute and go over to the concept site plan on the outdoor public space. So again, you can continue to provide feedback on COVID spaces. And again, my Facebook watchers that are out there watching live on Facebook, and even if you're not watching live, if you are watching a replay of this, feel free to type in the chat. We do go back and we look at chat comments, and we do pull all of that data into consideration. We look at all of this stuff. We look at every single comment. So feel free to put down everything. I've got some more suggestions in the comment section for speakers for announcements with continuous light, relaxing music, such as jazz.
Hey, now we're talking.
Yeah, we're talking good. African foods would be great.
That's the third time we've heard that.
That's another African foods comment. India too. So that's India as well.
And you guys trying to get it spicy over here.
I think we're trying to spice it up a little bit in Jeff-Chalmers.
Yeah.
So Lou's hovering over our concept site plan, and maybe zoom in just a little bit more, Lou, just a little bit. So if you all have thoughts on the site plan of where you think things could go. So we have all of this outdoor space. We've shown where food trucks, for instance, could be docked. But again, this, as Damon mentioned, none of this is hard and fast. So if you say, hey, I think, this space over here would be a great area for live music. All those considerations, you have an opportunity to put that onto the mural board. So for those of you that are not in the mural, but you have an idea about where you think something should go, feel free to type it in the chat, and if you can describe it to the best of your ability, we'll try to provide it. And then again, we'll provide the link so you can go back and access it later if you want to come back to this and draw certain things on here, add sticky notes and add comments. So I see someone typing, performance space here. With elevated seating or elevated stage, right? So those are the type of comments and the level of detail that you can feel free to go into and talk about where you want to see certain things happen. So we're at about 7:15. We want to close up and wrap up here and let you go by our usual 7:30 time. So probably about 5 more minutes to play around in this and answer some more of these questions. And I think we're going to do voting on a few different things. Are we, Lou? Or do we decide not to do that? We're just showing precedence, right?
We decided not to do that because we wanted to be democratic and make sure that people
Perfect.
who don't have access to mural can still vote in some kind of way. We'll do that in the future.
Great. So then again, you can see some of these artwork precedents down at the bottom. So Lou, if you want to scroll down to the bottom and just show some of those precedent images really quickly.
Sure. Actually, let me just hit the precedence button. There's buttons on this right panel. If you click on it, it'll take you right to that section. So if you're not comfortable scrolling, that's an easier way to go at it.
All right. Here's a good comment. I hope I'm not gonna say it's a good comment. I don't have a bias here. I do, but I'm not inserting it. But someone made a comment, please no dogs allowed in food areas, but maybe separated corner for dog park. So that's a great comment to take into consideration. How animals might be treated in the pets in the space. All right, these comments are piling on. Trash receptacles should be routinely serviced and cleaned. Great. This is great feedback. Great feedback, great feedback. Keep the feedback coming. Bike racks.
Oh yeah, that's the third bike rack. Third or fourth.
Okay, pickup location for DJs. All right, so as you can see, lots of different opportunities to provide some perspective. Lou has these precedent images up. Feel free to comment on the precedent images as well. If there's something that you don't like, feel free to say, hey, I don't like this, or hey, I do like this concept. Under architectural design, I do want to ask this question, and hopefully you can put this in the chat for those that are in the chat and those that are in the mural. Under architectural design, we show potential building materials. So one is like a metal weathered material. One is an aluminum type material, and one is a old brick style material. This is a historic district, so there's some controls around what is allowed and not allowed within the historic district. But we want to get your feedback on those different types of potential building materials that are being represented there. So, if you want to weigh in and say, I have a preference for one, but don't like another, those are the type of comments we want feedback on. Leslie Ferguson is asking, where do I comment to show interest in restaurant space? I have a Mediterranean and American cuisine restaurant. So Leslie, you would send an email to Lou Talo. And Lou, can you drop your contact there for Leslie? And Leslie, we would be happy to reach out and follow up with you.
And tell Leslie to send her recipe for grape leaves as well.
Sounds wonderful, Leslie. Great Mediterranean food. So someone has a comment here about primarily brick with a touch of OT. Right. Great comments. Probably got a couple minutes left. Another comment, primarily brick with a touch of other materials. That was an incomplete comment. Other materials.
Love this.
Again, there's also opening and facade treatments. For example, there's different types of facade openings that are shown down here. There's the sort of traditional roll-up door. There's the sort of collapsible facades. There's the shaded facades. So we'd love to get your feedback on the different styles and types. And if you don't see something here that you like Marcus mentioned, on the far left panel, you'll see a place where you can upload a picture. So if you have an image of something that you've seen somewhere else, you've traveled, you've been to another city, you say, hey, I really like that concept, we should consider that here. Those are all the types of feedback that you can give and provide different precedents as well. Right. So I see people hard at work with stickies and notes and digging in. So we're at the 7:20 mark. Again, you don't have to stop. We are going to, I think we've covered each of the questions so far. Again, the link will stay live. We'll keep the link live until Monday. So if you want to share with friends and neighbors, encourage them to go to the website. You can always find on the master plan site the link to the community meeting, or on the Facebook page they can rewatch the recording of this. And so they don't need.
I'll post the link in the Facebook too.
Perfect. So Lou will have everything posted and send out a communication. So again, if you know someone that was unable to attend and provide voice tonight, feel free to share this with them and encourage them to go in. If you've got young people in your household or in the neighborhood and they're not on this evening, we'd love to get a perspective from our youth as well. This space is intended to be a community space and programmed by the community, programmed by you, residents and community members. As diverse of a voice that can be contributed, we want to make sure we're hearing from all of you.
Lou, is that you getting excited and moving the floor plan around?
That's not me. Hold on. It says it's locked. It's a trap.
It's all good.
Hold on.
This is really good stuff, everybody. This is going to go a long way to informing what happens here. So keep them coming.
This is great. This is great. So again, if there are questions that we didn't ask, and you just have a general comment, don't hesitate to not put a sticky on the board that addresses a particular comment or question that may not have been readily asked. So with that, are there any questions? Again, chat box is still open for those that are in the Zoom still. If there are any questions, we will continue to answer questions. Otherwise, we got about 8 minutes left. I want to turn it back over to Lou so that, or Marcus, I'm not sure, sorry, who
It's
will
me.
give us sort of final instructions.
Yeah.
All yours, Lou.
Yep. So thank you. You'll see we're still please keep it moving. Don't let us hold you up. I just want to give you a couple of quick announcements.
Hey, Lou.
So next steps for us is
Sorry, Lou, real quick, sorry to cut you off. There was a question from Linda Bowie. Is there a way for someone to participate who cannot use the website? Can hard copy answers be made available? So what we can do, Lou, is try to figure out a way maybe to share the info from the website or the site plans, and then allow you to send us feedback back. So again, these maps, and maybe we can share the site plan maps along with the questions and allow you to provide us the feedback. And then we would go ahead and add that to the mural board. It's good for us to have everything on the mural board. What it does is it allows us to simply click a button, press print, and all of the data is there. But if anyone's having difficulty, the goal is not to make this inaccessible. So if someone is having difficulty with accessing the actual website link, we will make a way, we will figure out a way to make sure that you can still participate and that your information is captured. All right, sorry, Lou, back to you.
And I also posted my email address in the chat. If you have feedback for this particular site that you want to share, definitely email me at elsanifu@EJDevCo.com, and I will get in touch with you. I'll make sure I have the information on the board that we need. So our next steps, ongoing meetings with Dokes and EJDevCo team will be looking to go into schematic design. There'll be ongoing meetings about this. So this isn't the last time we're touching base with the community about this site by any stretch of the imagination. And again, contact me if you've got any questions. I can answer most questions. And questions I can't answer, I can find out.
Hey, speaking of questions, Jocelyn just asked a question relating to schedule. Do you mind going back to the schematic of the schedule we have really quick, and then I'll
go back to the schedule.
Yeah. So great question, Jocelyn. So again, we're closing out the initial design phase, the schematic design phase with this process. So what's going to happen from this point on is we're going to take all this information, we're going to filter through it. We're going to then, with our design team, Dokes Design Architecture, and their engineers and consultants, we're going to take all this information and we're going to try to find ways that we can implement as much of this feedback into the actual design. And then from there, we're going to finish our design close to late spring, early summer, doing our permitting phase, and then the line there sort of showing kind of where we are right now. But by the totality of the project, we should be done with the first phase, which is sort of building everything out by the end of this year. So end of this year, top of next year is when we should be done with this project. So, this is just the first phase of this project. We're working through ideas and concepts. The next phase, now that we've got all this wealth of information from the community about what they want to see, what they don't want to see, we'll go into the next phase of the design process, which is called design development. And we'll begin to refine and start to detail some of these things so that we can make this a practical project. But all in all, we're scheduled to deliver this project in a functioning capacity by the end of this year, beginning of next year. So good question.
Lou, you might be frozen again, or it looks like Lou is frozen again. I think he had a couple more announcements here. I think Lou is still frozen, so I'll make these final announcements for Lou, although I can't control the screen. So again, if you have any questions, you can always feel free to reach out to us. Lou is our engagement director, L Sanifu, which is LSANIFU at EJDevCo.com. And keep in mind that next week is the A.B. Ford Park Community Center presentation of the final presentation. That's by the City of Detroit. So that is not EJDevCo. We are not the developer of that project, but that is a city-led project, and we've been involved on the engagement side. So that presentation is going to happen next Thursday, 5:30 to 7 p.m. And I believe the Zoom information is on, or was on the screen. But that will happen next week, 5:30 to 7 p.m. You can always find that information on our page as well. And then our monthly community meeting that happens every third Thursday of the month. The next upcoming one is February 18th, 6 o'clock to 7:30, the usual time. So join us again for the next update. We'll give you some project updates in that meeting and some more exciting news about things that are happening in the corridor, and answer more questions that you might have as well. And then lastly, you can always visit the web. Go to the website and view our website and find any of this information. In the top right corner, you'll see master plan up there. If you click the master plan link, it'll take you to all of the master plan, community meetings, all of the links for that information. You can find that on the EJDevCo.com website. So it's exactly 7:30. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us tonight. I want to thank the Dokes team, Damon Dickerson and Kimberly Dokes. Thank them so much for their hard work in giving us site plans and things that got us off to a great start, and have a wonderful discussion tonight. We look forward to, as a team, digging in with them. Thank Lou, who always does a great job putting this together. Marcus and the design team, phenomenal job. Can't say enough about the hard work they do to try to keep these things moving. And Brandon Hodges on our team as well, who's leading, or will be leading, the effort to make all of this happen on the development side, as well as finding all the right tenants to deliver on all that fun, cool stuff. So thanks for hanging out tonight, everybody. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you again in the near future.